Good morning, Evergreen Online. Well, we all survived the hurricane weekend, the combined hurricane, earthquake, natural disaster event from last week. And for those of you who signed up for the summit gathering, the summit leadership gathering last week with our QPR suicide prevention training, I'm sorry we had to change those plans because our trainer canceled due to weather conditions on the road. Stay tuned as we try to reschedule that event for a later time. Now this weekend we are back at Arcadia County Park for our back to school or end of summer church in the park gathering. This weekend we're going to enjoy some delicious samosas and mango lassi from Banu Indian Cuisine and Market in San Gabriel. We invite you to come join us if you can. If you can't stay long, just pop in and say hello because we'd love to see you. Now this morning we continue our series on vacation, where we explore how to find God while we are away from home. Today, Pastor Shirley will be sharing from her experience as a pastor's daughter on vacation, and also now how she experiences God with others while she's away from home. But before she brings the word for us this morning, let's prepare our hearts with a time of worship.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pastor Shirley, perennial pastor of the Primetimers and Joy 50 Plus Ministries. In the month of August, we have moved our worship services online so that we could host our annual Leadership Summit. And while our leaders and volunteers have been attending the summit, those of you who have tuned in online have been listening to devotions given by our pastoral staff on our sermon series called On Vacation, Finding God Away from Home. Now, Pastor Jason introduced the sermon series first by describing what it was like to experience God running through the meadows of Edinburgh, Scotland. Pastor Jonathan was reminded of who God is through the many awe-inspiring moments during a family reunion. And Pastor Ryan, even though his carefully planned days were interrupted by unplanned activities, was reminded to practice presence, giving his full attention to the present, just as Jesus gave his attention to those who needed his presence. So although I haven't been on vacation yet this year, I was remembering the different times when I have been on vacation and how and when I encountered God away from home. Now, growing up as a PK, which stands for Pastor's Kids, life revolved around church all week. Wednesday night service or Bible study. Friday nights were spent at the typewriter typing out the Sunday worship program on a stencil so that the Sunday program could be printed using a mimeograph machine. Now, I realize that most of you may not know what a mimeograph machine is, but trust me, the way Sunday's programs are printed now, and even the fact that you can read them online is so much better. Anyway, Saturdays were spent at church, sweeping and cleaning the church, making it ready for those to come worship on Sunday. So when we did go on vacation, which wasn't very often, I was so happy. I didn't have to do anything that weekend. We didn't have to even go to church because we weren't going to be home, but because we were on vacation. But alas, even while away from home, my father insisted that whatever city we were visiting, and if it was a Sunday, we had to find a church and attend the service. I was crushed. Why couldn't we be like other families who went on vacation and probably didn't go to church on Sunday? Why can't we have vacation from church? Well, I've since found out that Pastor Julie, who is also a PK, also went to church on Sunday while on vacation. So I don't feel bad. I wasn't the only one who had the same experience. As I got older, and when I was on vacation with family, and if we were away from church on Sunday, if we were away on Sunday, we didn't go to church. We didn't find another church to visit. But when we didn't do that, I found I missed the tradition of finding a church to worship. By insisting that we find a place of worship even while we were on vacation, my father was teaching me that wherever we are and whatever we do, while we're away from our home church and church family, we need to remember that God is present and to acknowledge and recognize him. My father was also teaching me about the importance of worshiping together as a community, even if the community was unfamiliar. In Acts chapter 2, verse 43 to 47, it summarizes the daily life of the community of believers of the early church who had gathered soon after Pentecost. Let me read from Acts 2, 42 to 47. They spent their time learning from the apostles, and they were like family to each other. They also broke bread and prayed together. Everyone was amazed by the many miracles and wonders that the apostles worked. All the Lord's followers often met together, and they shared everything they had. They would sell their property and possessions and give the money to whoever was in need. Day after day, they met together in the temple. They broke bread together in different homes and shared their food happily and freely while praising God. Everyone liked them, and each day the Lord added to their group others who were being saved. Wow, they did a lot of things together, didn't they? So there are two verses that I would like to talk about first. They spent, verse 42 and 46, they spent their time learning from the apostles, and they were like family to each other. They also broke bread and prayed together. Day after day, they met together in the temple. They broke bread together in different homes and shared the food happily and freely. For many churches now, they've used this passage as a blueprint for congregational life, especially in verse 42, teaching and breaking bread together or having a meal together and praying. I found the same activities while on vacation. On our vacation last year, Virgil and I, along with our friends Angie and Peter, traveled to the town of Oberammergau, Germany, to see Passion Play. I'll explain what the significance of the town of Oberammergau and what the Passion Play is in a moment. On our way to Oberammergau, we stopped in Prague and visited with Peter and Nora Kochman, who are American Baptist missionaries to the people of Czechoslovakia. The day we met with Peter and Nora happened to be a Sunday. And over lunch, we listened to how their ministry to the Czechs is so important because most of the Czechs have a strong distrust for anything religious. Their ministry reminded me of how important missionaries are, but more importantly, through Peter and Nora, we heard how God is working in the lives of the Czechs. We also had an opportunity to bring a little bit of evergreen to a friend who lives and works in Germany. Winnie was so happy to see us. She missed being around the Evergreen family and community. Now, both of these visits made me realize how important connecting with people is, to let them know they are not alone in their journey of faith. So, after leaving Prague, our next stop was to see the Passion Play in a town called Oberammergau, located in Bavaria, Germany. Now, a little background on the Passion Play and why so many people make the trip to see the play. So around 1633, the village of Oberammergau was devastated by the bubonic plague. And the people of the village made an oath to God, hoping to spare the village. They vowed that if saved, they would forever perform a play of the suffering, death, and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ every 10 years. Now, after the vow was made, according to tradition, not another person in the town died from the plague. The following year, at Pentecost in 1634, the villagers fulfilled that pledge, and the play was performed for the first time. Now, the village's Passion Play is a large production held in Oberammergau. The actors, numbering about 2,000, which is almost half of the total population of Oberammergau, perform in the play. Now, for 5 months of the year, the villagers will play the roles of Jesus, Mary, Pontius Pilate, the apostles, the soldiers, and priests. And the play is performed in a 5,000 seat capacity open-air stage. Through the play, they share the message of Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection. It was an amazing experience and a well-performed play. And as I was watching the play, I experienced both awe and admiration of the dedication of the people of Oberammergau to honor and remember an oath that was made in the 1600s. The play is a letter of love and gratitude to the God who saved their village. So even though I know the story and that the dialogue was in German, the play reminded me that God is the God of hope. The other thing that struck me was that the huge gathering of people who came from all over the world to see this play. And whether they were believers or non-believers in the audience, or for whatever reason they made the journey to see the story of Jesus enacted, this play was seen and experienced in community. Just as the early believers gathered after Pentecost and shared life together, and what my father taught me, that even on vacation, we can experience God through community. Gathering together to share a meal or studying the Bible together, going on hikes, playing sports, going to Disneyland, church in the park, vacationing together, connecting with family or friends away from home. All these times of gathering is sharing life together, which is an important part of our spiritual life and journey. Gathering together helps us remember who God is because we see and hear what God is doing in each other's lives through the sharing of stories. So may you experience the fullness of God as you gather with family and friends, even while on vacation.
As we respond to Pastor Shirley's devotional message, perhaps we can all think about who we vacation with. Now, some of us may like to vacation with people. Others of us may like to vacation to get away from certain people. Whatever the case, what Pastor Shirley wonderfully points out this morning is that there is a relational aspect to most of our vacationing. My question for you this morning is this: who do you vacation with? And why? And as you think about who you vacation with, ponder what God is doing through those relationships. It could be with family, with a group of friends that you like to travel with, or maybe just a favorite traveling buddy. Maybe you even like to vacation on tours with a bus full of strangers, or you like to be amongst the crowd like Pastor Shirley at the Passion Play, or amongst fellow Disney fans at Disneyland. Either way, what is God doing through those relational interactions? How is God speaking? How is God teaching you? How is God just blessing you through the people you vacation with? I hope you've enjoyed our series thus far on vacation. Next week, we resume our in-person services on our Rosemead campus, where Pastor January will close out our series with some special reflections on her recent pilgrimage on the Camino de Santiago. Now, receive the blessing of the benediction. The next time you're away, may you recognize God's blessing and care for you through the people you're on vacation with. Please have a wonderful end to the month, and we'll see you next week, either online or in person. Grace and peace, evergreen.